I'm in road trials, tuning, and you got to load the bike when you do tuning. So I've been taking it out and doing some blasts. I went into the grocery store. That was my maiden voyage. Just down to get some food and back, and it pulls freaking hard. It pulls really freaking hard. You hit pipe like when I rev it in that 2-cylinder video. I got it to the point, and it hit when it hits pipe. It revs up so fast that it just whoa. There's pipe right there because I'm still breaking in the engine, so I got to watch out for that. But it's starting to loosen up now, and I'm getting in the pipe region a little bit when I get on the road. And woo, I tell you, it's pretty good. Anyways, road trials. I'm out riding yesterday morning. It was cold, and I stopped in a little town near here, and I, just to warm up because I was cold. And a old biker guy stopped. He's like 77 years old. He's, so many miles. One of those guys been riding all his life since he was a kid, same as me, except he's like 20 years older than me. He says, he gives me this pair of gloves. I'm like, all right. I get done talking to him. He takes off. And I'm ready to start the bike, and the bike isn't ready to start. I'm thinking, well, my it's just too, and I thought it was my starter motor, or it was either my starter motor or my battery's dead, right? I thought, I don't think the battery's dead. It's probably the starter motor. And I go, well, I'll bump start it, get home, and I tell you, if you ever have to bump start your Harley, don't bump start it thinking it's gonna start. It's like, well, you have to. It's like you're kicking off, you're getting going, you're running alongside the bike, you jump on it, sling over, and freaking and you freaking kick it up in the gear and let out the clutch, but the whole thing is if it doesn't start, stop thinking that it's gonna start, because it just and then it just locks up the tire, and freaking you fall over. And that's what happened. I dropped the bike. Okay, so I got a little bit of a chip here. You can barely see it. It's tiny. The pavement hit the mirror and the Rizoma and pushed the mirror up, and it pushed the switch gear up and pushed the clutch perch just enough to where my little eighth of an inch of tank clearance at full lock disappeared, and it just smudged the tank a little bit. It's just a tiny little chip right there. And I can fix that. I got a little Goldie left over. Anyways, I pick the bike up off the ground, and I hear behind me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, somebody saw me do that." It was like, you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. It's just like, go away, kind of in my mind. And she's like, "Well, I'm not a motorcycle." I says, "I'm a motorcycle mechanic. Don't worry about it. I was just trying to get her to go away." And then she says, "Okay, well, I don't have anything. I can't help you." And she goes away. And then I start thinking to myself, I should have asked for a jump start. Okay, so I'm sitting in this little town, and it's quite a while, and then this farmer guy comes up with his tractor, and his son is back by the house. They're processing firewood, and he says, "Yeah, push your bike around the back up there, and we'll get you get a charger on it." And nice guy. The guy had a 4-cylinder 650 rocket bike, and we're sitting there talking bikes for a while, and while it's charging, and he's back and forth. And anyhow, got it popped off, and get it home, and at that point, that was that bump start was my diagnostic. Right then, I knew it was the battery, and we soaked it with it just for a little bit on a 5-amp charger, and it popped right off, and I got all the way home. Except I forgot to turn on my fuel valve. I got down the road a little ways, and the bike killed it. I'm like, what the heck? Oh, there was something else must be wrong. It must be, you know, my brain is going like this, and I forgot to turn on my. I flipped the petcock and freaking off, and then it actually had enough juice to actually start with the starter motor, and I got home, and then I tested the stator first, and I got 29 volts at idle. I'm like, well, that's good. And then tested through that, and the regulator was shot. So I got to get a new regulator. I got one coming. Anyhow, the moral of the story is, you know, put one of those little tiny LED, you know, like somewhere, you know, those little LED battery meters on your bike, so that's the diagnostic right there. Because there's no point in freaking trying to bump start your freaking Harley if your freaking battery is dead. Because then you don't have ignition, you don't have nothing. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's nothing to do with the starter motor. But see, I had to do that because I didn't know what it was. Because I'm sitting there doing all this other stuff, and I'm not even thinking about the charging system or the starter motor. I'm just, you know, I'm trying to do all this other stuff, and you forget about it. But holy cow, if your starter motor ever goes, and you got to bump start your Harley, you know, hopefully you got a battery meter on there, and you know there's juice ahead of time. You know, that's what I would recommend. In fact, I'm going to get one of those. So, you know, I wouldn't try it unless you knew it was going to start. Because if it doesn't start, then you got to have your leg off the bike on the other side and ready to freaking catch it, because when it hits that last engine revolution and the tire locks, you got to be ready to. You got to pull it. You got to go one way or the other with it, and you got to be on that side. Anyhow, that was a painful diagnostic session, and well, it wasn't painful. It's just painful, and I chipped my paint. You know, I chipped my paint, and I banged my knee a little bit, but I'm fine. I'm fine. Just like I said, I'm fine. I'm fine. But you know, here's the headlights in, right? Yep. That's the whole thing. The thing is this oil. This is an excessively large rag. It may lead to think that this oil leak is worse than it is, but it's unacceptable to me because it's getting on my pipes, and I'm gonna pinch off the hose from the tank prior to the normal drain point with a little C-clamp. And I just thought of this last night because I've been sitting there. Well, this is my braking oil. I don't want to have to, you know, put in a whole new thing of oil. But pinch off that hose coming just before the drain, and drain out that side, you know, below the C-clamp, and then drain from this side too. And then I can do my rerouting and get all my leaks taken care of up here. Well, there's only one leak, but it's really irritating me at this point. It's just I gotta get that taken care of. So while I'm waiting for the regulator, I'm gonna get the cooler rerouted here, and the weather's going south, and I'm not going to have too many more days to do trials on this, so I got to get on it here. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.